We are here in the currently lockdown state of the union, but we are bringing you an interesting topic tonight. All four wizards are here tonight, no guest. So we're hoping we're going to get the fans and the folks in the audience.
We're still cool. By choice, we're still cool.
Yeah, to step up and provide some good feedback to what we're talking about tonight. And tonight's topic is how to get your game online. There's been a lot of talk about this ever since virtual Gary Con. I mean, hell, Con even made Forbes magazine, didn't Matt?
Yeah. We got Forbes magazine before the convention was even done.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, it's a pretty exciting topic right now, and a lot of people are struggling to fill the hours that they have now at home when they're supposed to be loving their family and enjoying time with them. But let's face it, that's not always going to work out great. So so now as the 1,000-yard stairs start to develop, we can all look forward to the tools that are available tonight and the strategies to get online. So anyway, quick warning: the show is adult. We drink, we swear, we make radical pronouncements, and we play role-playing games. I am Danny Grimes. I am a professional GM. I make terrain. I draw maps, and I am helping host this show, but I also host another show on Thursday nights called Strange Encounters. I am drinking Napogue Castle 12-year-old Irish whiskey. Over here
Get your cards in now, folks. Get your cards in now.
Over.
Think about the overlay, Danny. Not Zoom. Matt's above you.
Yeah. Got
to you and cut a coin.
Matt is the among other things, the owner of Kobold Con, which unfortunately will not be taking place terrestrially again this year, but we will be doing some sort of virtual setup for that. He's also the host of Whose Monster Is It Anyway on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock right here on our Twitch channel, and he's the chief Raven over at the Blackwood Society. What you drinking, Matt?
I am on my second, thanks to our happy hour we just had on Facebook before this. I'm on my second Irish Death.
Oh, yes. Oddly, I'm drinking the same thing, but it's called something else. Then we also have Brian. I see that guy at every convention. Berg. He's an author, a designer, and publisher of many RPG products, most notably Pathfinder and D&D 5th edition. But I think some other stuff in there as well. And he's the owner over at Total Party Kill Games. He keeps us kind of on schedule around here. Brian Berg, what you drinking?
So for my just casual drinks tonight, it's the ye old Coors Light.
Ye old.
However,
oldie.
Should anyone want to throw some cards at us, I am more than willing to drink this. Galena Cellars is a
cherry wine.
Oh, it is a delicious wine that they make in Galena, Illinois. And I'm not even a wine person. They make damn good wine. So
yeah.
And last but certainly not least,
chug some of that,
the chief reject over at Praetor's Rejects, Jimmy Duffy. He keeps the tech operating around here, and he's been running games pretty steadily these last few weeks. Isn't that right, Jimmy?
Yes, I have. Even new games, 2 new games starting up. New beginners to the cause. Yes.
Awesome. And forging some new players and maybe even a GM or two. What are you drinking, buddy?
As always, it's the Great Shiner. And we all have to drink. A card was just played for all of us.
Oh, was it? That's
Jimmy,
off to a roaring start. Thanks, guys.
What am I to do?
Jimmy, you're my rock. You never fail with the Shiner Bach.
Hold on. Where's my Sirenscape?
Do you have are the cards showing on the screen? I didn't see it. I missed it.
Yeah. It's in the preview box. Yeah.
Right. In the middle box. All
yeah.
Right. All right.
Uh-huh. Make it a little bit bigger.
Oh, that is good.
No.
Yeah. Do I have the box showing? Please.
What the hell are we talking about? What are we here for?
So, normally this is the point where we would announce our guest, but I think it's worth mentioning that
Danny, have a drink.
Me?
Yeah.
There it is.
Look at that face.
Hey, stretch that out a little bit. It's all squished. Stretch that out a little bit.
Yeah, he's taking that serious.
Whoa, buddy. Not
normally
a shot.
Normally I'd be announcing our guest right now, But I think if you watched around the infosphere this last few days, a lot of people are jumping out with these kinds of videos. I saw Colville had one. I know the D&D folks have one.
They sure did. Yeah.
And they're all talking about, I think what I saw most people talking about is their favorite way to do it. But we are system agnostic around here, and we are all about providing the right tools for you, not just like the ones we like. So there's a lot to talk about here. So our really tonight's topic is going to range kind of all over the place, and we hope people will have their own ideas in chat about what they would like to try out.
Yeah, there's some likable tools in this video stream right now.
Yeah, well, there's four, and there's 4 lovable tools on screen. Ooh.
I need to get a rim shot. I'm just going to get one so I can play it.
Do you?
Okay. Yeah.
I think you need to
We
do
already
so.
talked about this. That's a different stream, buddy.
So real quick, before we jump right into the big topic, I'm going to blast through this real quick. Thanks to everyone out there that supports us on our various channels. We super appreciate you, and you can find out what's going on with us at wizco.games any old time. We do have a blog there where we touch on a lot of these same topics. We are the Wizards of the Couch, and every first and third Monday of the of any given month, you'll find us here 9 p.m. Central talking. And then following this, a show called Last Call, where we're all good and well and truly shit-faced, and we will talk about a controversial topic. Tonight's controversial topic is still under wraps, right, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. So he's sworn to secrecy, and he'll kill anyone
Until I drink more, then I won't be so secret.
Yeah. And then also we have 2
I'll
other
tell you.
shows on the channel on Thursday night, 9 o'clock Central. We've got Whose Monster Is It Anyway, hosted by Casey Rift, and a contestant of our choosing. I think we know who's the guest this week. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right on. Alyssa Fadden is going to be on.
Why is that
right?
stretchy?
Jimmy, drink.
I know. I'm fixing the card so it looks better.
Is Alyssa also on Whose Monster?
Hold the control. There you
Yeah,
go.
she was.
No, she's not. She has been. She's not. Well, maybe we can get her on. I don't know.
Well, she's going to be on Strange Encounters, which comes right after that. And then obviously you can catch up with us on YouTube. You'll see these videos within a few days after they close out here, and then all over social media. So
We still have 3 packs left. 3 free packs left. Go get them. Links in the chat.
Wait, can I get free packs and then just make you guys drink?
Oh, Brian,
Jimmy
I'll
tried
give
that
you
today. We caught on after we already taken a lot of
aside
drinks.
from being horribly self-defeating, yes.
I'll take care of you, Brian. I got the hookup, baby.
So I think a good place to start with this discussion is addressing the need that people have for, some socialization, just like we're doing here. We're lucky that we have figured this out for like the better part of a year, and Jimmy even longer than that, how to get together and join together online. But for a lot of people, it's kind of mystifying, and the technical aspects, the thing I hear most often is people say, oh man, I have a hard enough time just GMing. I can't imagine doing all the technical stuff on top of it. So why don't we just kind of start right there? Like, how do each of us feel about that? Let's start with Jim. Jimmy's like the guy who knows what he's doing with all this stuff. How did you get started?
Well, let me think. Do I really like it? Am I really into it? So, no, as the story goes, it was running a game here at the house, and one of the players was going to start traveling, and we wanted to find out exactly, there's got to be a way to add them into a Skype calls, what we're using. And then how can I show them the table? And I'd seen plenty of it, some talk about that. And so I started looking around, and I went into the Fantasy Grounds arena because I wanted an application. Being IT and being involved with the computers, just making them dance and sing and all that, I just wanted to get that technical involvement, and that's what I chose. And the week that I bought the Ultimate license to run it for our group, I was foolish enough to just basically to post out on the Reddit LFG group, Brian, have a drink.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah. To run a game. I said, well, I'll get some players and put this license to use. I had 4 games running by the end of the week. I couldn't say no.
Yep.
And so that started the channel, and I haven't looked back since.
that's a common GM. I guess it's some people might think of it as a fault, but I think it's a great thing. It's hard to say no when people want to play a game with you, and this kind of technology opens it up.
I say no now.
You're saying my wife says that all the time. No.
Yeah, I say it now.
Yeah, that's your chief understanding of that word.
Yeah. There you go, Matt.
Oh, give somebody who's going to give
Gift another viewer
blah,
loot chest.
blah.
Just pick somebody and give it to him. Hey, Lost Fears. Yeah, I got one of my players on here. A guest play on my channel. Got him over his fear, and he got smacked by a flail snail.
Oh yeah.
I just hit someone with a flail snail this weekend. Wow,
You guys phrasing.
kismet. So what about you? What about you, Matt? What are your thoughts on getting an online game going, or how you do it, or?
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to gift a pack here.
No, that's
Let's
fine. Why don't we
see,
go to Brian?
Yeah, go to Brian.
It's weird because I've actually been resistant to online gaming for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I was one of those people.
Monkey Moto, you get a chest. Monkey Moto. Go ahead.
I liked the social aspect of gaming. For us, it's sitting around the table with dick jokes. Sometimes we roll dice, right? And so the move to virtual gaming was very, very off-putting to me, and I just didn't see the need, right? But once I did it and I realized how easy you can throw maps and set up scenarios and use digital tokens and everything is tracked for you, I'm like, why the fuck was I not doing this 10 years ago?
Yeah. Well, probably that far back. I know you meant just, allegorically, but literally that far back, I think most of these tools did not really exist in their current form. I think you had Skype probably just in its infancy. Maybe Hangouts was still a couple of years away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it is a new world, and obviously internet speeds have gone up too. Now you can commonly get a couple gigabit or
Megabit.
yeah, a few hundred megabit to your house fairly inexpensively.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a new phenomenon. Tipping back to you, Matt. What about you?
Mine came out of my time in the Army, and we actually experimented with, before there were any platforms, we experimented with trying to do it over, trying to do gaming over, I want to say Skype, but it may have been Google Hangouts. And I was in Germany. My entire gaming group was back in the States, and we attempted to do it. And I had actually, to the point that I created a PVC like rack or holder, I guess, for my camera, and then I hung the camera from the top so that they could view the map.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's what I did.
And it did not work. Did not work at all. But it was our first attempt. And that was probably, that was 2001, 2, something like that. I mean, it was really early on, way before any of the actual applications came out. And then, we've been, I haven't been back home really since, back to where my home group is. So we've been attempting it in one form or fashion since then. So that's kind of where it came from.
And I'll just close this piece out by saying I am definitely a theater of the mind player. I'm right there with Brian. I really felt like, what's this really going to add? It's going to add a whole layer of tech. And I'm also a nerd. I am not quite as advanced as Jimmy, but I've got that same desire to play with tech. And I just resisted it because the only utility I could see was bringing my one buddy in who couldn't be here. Like that was the reason to do it.
Oh, good for you.
But now I have to say, after Virtual GaryCon, I see the tremendous value in being able to actually control the flow of the game better. You have people that are, you can move the tokens and people know exactly where they are and so forth. And that's a really huge, hey, Casey, have a drink.
I see it.
And so I do not run Fantasy Grounds. That I do have a license for it. I've used it before. It's actually an awesome tool. I have nothing but good things to say about it. But my games typically don't go that deep where people are interacting and moving their own stuff and all that. So I use MapTool, which is an open source tool, and I also use Zoom or Skype to bring my players together.
Right. Yeah. Talk about MapTool real quick, because I know that the popular ones have been getting,
that's one of them,
are at the forefront of everybody's, a tip of everybody's tongue, I guess. MapTool is not necessarily one of those. How do you use it?
Well, I'm having problems with my camera here real quick. I got to just figure out what's going on.
It won't help. Danny.
Yeah, so
You beat me to it.
It won't help.
I can't make myself look any better. So Map Tool is you can find it at RP Robert Peter tools.net, and it is an open source, free to use map and game simulator. It does a lot of things that Fantasy Grounds does. Okay, hold on.
We'll get to you in a minute, Nightheart.
He's not even going to make it. He's not even going to make it. He's not even going to make it.
Love you and Jay.
First, I got to leave out. Drink, and I'll take a drink. All right, so it is a really nice mapping software, but it also does have the ability for players to have their own character sheets, control their characters, set up spell effects, run macros, all that stuff Fantasy Ground does. Probably not quite as well, but I just use it for maps, and the auto reveal and the line of sight stuff is really, really sweet and easy to set up.
Your message is on the stream there, Jimmy.
So Map Tool is a cool tool. I'm sure we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, for sure. And we used, I can't remember what it was, but I was able to share my desktop. It wasn't Map Tools, but it was something like that before Fantasy Grounds. It may have actually been one of the first Fantasy Ground versions before it was an online tool. I can't remember, but we did something similar. At least able to handle the maps, handle the tokens, and for a long time, we would do the Roll20 or whatever it was in the house. Like we would all be sitting there in the same room and still use the utility because it's so beneficial.
So this is probably a good segue to discuss like what is the purpose that you have to get online. Obviously, we stream, so there's a whole different, I'll say, a technology stack that essentially applies to that versus what applies to if you just want to get your friends together.
Jimmy, you're killing me with this.
I get it. I detached it. I moved it. Shush. Shush.
Trained professionals, everyone. We're trained.
I'm going to cash a card in right now.
I'm missing your postcards, Brian.
So if you're just running a game to share amongst your friends, you don't need the broadcast software. Like Jimmy and I and Matt all use broadcast software that allows us to pull things together in an interface and stream out to Twitch or Facebook or whatever it might be. If people are interested in that, I suggest we kind of swing back around to that if you're thinking about streaming, because that's kind of a separate conversation. This tonight, I think, is about how to wrangle all your friends into one place and have a meaningful game experience. Would everybody agree with that?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I feel like streaming is probably
Jimmy
drink. Hey. See, I told you, Danny. There's an equal number of drink cards.
Yeah, I'll believe it.
Yours were all just at the top of the deck last time.
Brian, have a drink.
Oh, there it is.
We're gonna get drunk tonight, folks. This is gonna be on.
James Lewis.
This is gonna get on.
I'm scratching marks in my cell wall with a sharpened spoon.
Oh.
So what I think that's, you absolutely need to learn the software before you go and try to stream anything. I mean, there are umpteen number of role-playing game streams out there that are just not worth it, not worth watching because they haven't put any effort into it. They don't know the software very well. I mean, yeah. So definitely learn the software before you decide you're going to stream. So that's my long way of saying, yes, I agree with what you're putting down here.
Yeah. So
I don't have a bigger learning curve than others, but
oh my
yeah,
God.
what would we all agree? What's kind of the most feature packed? What's the most feature packed?
Well, let's stay in the virtual arena because we've got Nightheart and Lord Gasumba here, and they're throwing up comments.
Hey, Jay.
We'll swing around you guys because y'all's environment is a little bit of another different morph, and it's actually a tabletop game that's then you're either streaming out or, as in what Frank is Nightheart saying, because of the social distancing, he's now showcasing that game and that tabletop to his players who are at home, but he's still not streaming. So we've got there's
that's
so many different coats to wear in this deal. So
yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Bashman.
Yeah, he's got too many cards.
The
keys need to be taken away from him. That's all there is to it.
Yes, I agree. I think the topic we should stay on just how to do it. Like, what are the tools to do it? What are the communication tools? I tell you what, lesson learned from Gary Con running that this 2 weeks ago. That should have been 2 weeks ago now.
A week and a half. Yeah, almost.
But the hardest thing about that was organizing all the players and dungeon masters to come together on a common platform. Like, not collectively, obviously, but I mean, just the individual games. With 700 games, there were like, how many different combinations there are between what platform you're going to play on, what voice communication you're going to use, how are you going to get the character sheets over to. I mean, holy cow, that was the most difficult part. So yeah, I think if we can wrap people's heads around how to even get that started, that's a great.
It made me sick.
Yeah. So I'll tell, since you bring up virtual GaryCon, I'll briefly get the ball rolling with my success story. I was very nervous about doing this. I typically do this with friends who know to be patient, and they're like, "Hey man, just work on it until you get it working, and we'll jump back in a half an hour or whatever." So I was really stressed. So I did a lot of prep, and I prepped all my tech. I made sure everything was working correctly. And then once I knew I had players, the virtual tabletop software allowed me to message them. Mm-hmm. So the very first thing I did was I put everybody in a threaded email. And I asked everybody at the top of that email to reply all throughout the whole thing. So I had, in one game, I had 5 players. Another game, I had 9 players. And in the game that I had 9 players, it was a Call of Cthulhu round that had 3 levels of backstory, secrets between the players, a detailed character sheet, a map, a few handouts, a detailed map of the town, and an abbey, and a dockside, and a lake. So a lot of moving pieces. So I just sent out the first email, and I gave them one little tidbit about their character, and I said,
"Oh yeah,
I gave all the tidbits, and I said, based on these 2 sentences, pick your character." And then they all chose a character. They worked it out amongst themselves. I didn't get involved at all. And then I gave them the second tidbit. And then I gave them a PDF. Then I scheduled a 1:00 tech test 5 hours before the game, where we all jumped on and everybody showed up. We tested mics, we tested cameras, people who didn't have their character sheets, or if they had questions. I had somebody in chat that could answer more technical questions about Call of Cthulhu. And right before they all broke for the game, I sent them in a private message their secrets that they knew about the other people. By the time we showed up at 6:00, man, these people were ready to rock and roll.
That's great.
It took 2.5 hours to get them there, but time super well spent, because the game itself was slated for 6 hours. We started exactly at 6. We ended exactly at midnight. Every encounter got done. Lots of people died and were driven insane. So if you know Call of Cthulhu, you know the benefit of that. So that was my recipe. Communicate early, communicate often, dribble out the information so that people get bought in.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pristine version of how a virtual game should go at a virtual convention. Well, I mean, in general, but at a virtual convention where everybody's new to the table, that's like a pristine version of how things should go. Then we had the complete opposite end of the spectrum where
tell us about that.
The game master never even reached out to tell the player where to go. Like, they set the game up, all the seats filled up. The game master never sent a message on, "Hey, we're going to be on Fantasy Grounds," or "We're going to meet on Google Hangouts," or whatever. There's nothing. And fortunately, the guys over at the unofficial GaryCon Discord server were really good about helping them track those guys down. But yeah, there's that, everything from what you just described to no communication at all, and everything in between. So, but yeah, I think that's a very good example of how the tools have changed the game dramatically for everybody that wants to use them. And we're not necessarily talking in all cases about gaming online. This is a perfect opportunity while we're all on lockdown to do so. But those tools, I mean, just think about how World Anvil is a perfect example, how much information you can track now and share it with your players and keep it all in line and among the collective. I mean, there's an amazing number of tools available now, and Roll20 Fantasy Grounds are just a couple, just a handful.
Danny,
All right,
roll a
I gotta
dice.
Roll a die.
Danny, roll a dice. Roll a
What am I
D20.
rolling? What kind?
Roll a D20.
Roll a d20.
Roll a d20. Got it. 19.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey, you don't
so
win.
close.
So
close,
close.
Jeff.
So close.
What did I have to do?
If they get if you roll a 20, they win some.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Maybe I
I
respect.
came all that way and let you down by this much.
It's the story of his life.
Ooh, okay, James. Okay.
Do we want to talk about the lowest of low tech? Because
sure.
I run a game entirely off of Discord. I have a number of players who are fairly low tech. We theater the mind to everything. There's no need for maps and tokens. We're truly just role playing through voice and making shit up as we go. It turns out you can actually make believe in games like this. And it's fun.
Shocking.
I know, right? So what I do for this particular game is we just have our own Discord channel. All right. So no other randos are popping in. Every character has their own text channel. And that is where I can throw character sheets. I can put game notes. I can put interesting things, right? We have our own voice channel so that everyone can, talk amongst each other. And then we have a general chat where I just kind of send out game master messages to the group as opposed to individual players.
Sure.
You almost couldn't get more low tech than that unless you were doing it like on a bulletin board system or something,
2 cans and a string.
Play by email.
Play by email, right? So that's kind of like the equivalent tech today. But if there's people watching this who are like, well, I'd kind of like to play some D&D with my friends, but we can't get together, and so doesn't have a camera, and blah, blah, blah. Don't let that hold you up. Go super low tech, Roll20, if your laptop has a built-in camera, you can use that. But Discord, you're literally just talking over the internet, and it more than meets our needs. So it's possible.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I can think of half a dozen stories just from this last week where people, for the first time, they never wanted to or needed to. They never wanted to try online virtual tabletop games before. And there are several games that we even streamed. Stefan Picorni's game, Dwarven Forge guy. It was just cameras.
I got it.
Jimmy. It was just cameras. He was totally theater of the mind, Stefan type, DM style, and the players were just connected on Zoom, just like we're doing right now. There was no maps, nothing. It was all theater of the mind. And
yes, Jay, we know you hosted the game.
Fantastic.
And Zoom is, Brian mentioned Discord.
Sorry, Lord Gasumba Jay did in fact run that. Thank you for setting that up for 6 hours. It was awesome. You were saying?
I found Discord a little challenging at first. Like I just didn't. Now I understand it much better. Like which channel you're supposed to be in and all that kind of stuff. So just using Zoom, even if all you use is Zoom, and you just have a map in something like PowerPoint or one of the free PowerPoint type programs where you can make it full screen and you can kind of scroll around on the map. You can't do the fog of war. No, you can't do all that stuff. But if you just have that on one monitor, even if you have one monitor, if you put that on one monitor and share that screen in Zoom, it's essentially like a virtual player. It doesn't take up a player slot, and you just ask everybody to pin that, and so you end up with a big map that everyone can see, or a big drawing or painting, whatever you're trying to show the players, and that's super low tech. Like you do not need all this stuff, right? We do it because we're trying to do something more with it, but you don't need it.
Yep, and Spawnroot says that is what Gary Kahn forced a specific subset of people to consider. It's why it will be considered the ground shift towards virtual gaming for a given portion of the gaming community.
Right.
And, I tend to agree. I mean, there are so many people, not even just games, but like we had Tim Kask on live, we had Zeb Cook on live. Neither one of them had ever done any kind of Q&A live before, and both those shows went off great. I was really I didn't mean to make this necessarily a Gary Con show, but it's the most recent anecdote that I can think of. But we had.
I think it's a pretty big moment, Matt. I mean, and I think you should be willing to take credit.
Yeah, we led the charge.
Yeah, we
being
did.
part of. Essentially, I told you the other day, and I was not joking. I think you've changed role-playing gaming in a super fundamental way that is going to be a lasting change just by your participation in that. I don't think you did it necessarily thinking you were doing that, which is how most awesome things happen. But Matt here was one of the major driving forces behind that virtual Gary Con coming off. And I know I'm embarrassing him to say it, but it's still true.
Well, it opened up, let's be real, people still want to play in real life games, and you're going to be able to. And there's still that much of the interaction and things that we miss being real life with each other and that energy you feed off of. Sure. But there were so many that now they opened up and said, we got it. Maybe you forced them to the well to drink the water, but it wasn't so bad. And so now they've got another platform that we can make things work. And I think that you get the best of both worlds now. So.
So I think the point's well taken, Brian, with the low tech. I mean, absolutely can be just we could play a game right now for all intents and purposes, and it would be just as fun.
Yep.
That is certainly true. That is certainly
you were
true.
saying, I interrupted you, Brian. What were you saying?
Yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna riff on. But go ahead.
We cut Brian off all the time, so
yeah,
we do.
We just get this. Oh, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why he has his own show, folks. That's why
I did feel bad. I did feel bad about the Pondsmith game. Michael Pondsmith, the cyberpunk, was going to run a cyberpunk game for a celebrity crowd, and that didn't go off very well. They had some system problems on Friday night, but. Talk about awesome. I mean, the creator of the cyberpunk universe was going to run a game for some dudes at GaryCon, a virtual game for some dudes at dudes and dudettes at GaryCon. Yeah, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
Whoa. Here comes the raid. Alyssa said she was going to bring some people over.
Hi, Alyssa.
For the glory of Rome.
For the glory of Rome.
Got some catching up to do, Alyssa. Good afternoon.
Blood and sand.
So speaking of blood and sand, an email went out today, and we did have an episode 0 in GaryCon, so I think it's fair to talk about. Matt, do you want to elaborate anything what we might be up to in future Wednesdays?
Well, I think, hopefully at this point it's solid. But starting next Wednesday for 6 episodes. We are going to have a Blood and Sand style Shadow of the Demon Lord game called Shadow of the Arena. The 4 of us are players with three-time Iron GM winner Eric Frankhouse as the game master. Is it game master? It's not a game master. And what is it called?
Slave master.
I don't think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I don't believe that's right.
He yells at me all the time.
Anyway, that starts next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. We will be playing all the nights from 9 to midnight, I think, 3 hours.
Yeah, I think that's
what. That's picking up next week. Yeah, that's picking up next week.
I think that we get wild and crazy here. Imagine us in character 24/7.
And it is also an NSFW. So we're putting it late so that the kids are hopefully well in bed by the time this show comes on.
Here's to Rob Schwab's toilet wine.
Yes.
Toilet wine. Into the great shaker of cheese.
So let's talk about some of the platforms out there. We kind of touched on a couple of them, I think. But Danny, you say you've got map tools that you use. Are you switching over to Fantasy Grounds or anything like that? Or are you just sticking with?
No, I'm gonna Fantasy Grounds. I'm waiting for the Unity upgrade, which we don't have to get into the nerd aspect of it. I'm waiting for it to be a little bit more modern program. I can't go back so much as I feel I would have to there. So I'm using a Roll20 right now. And that's what I'm trying to learn to make me a little more accessible to people who already have stuff there. Plus, you can buy modules and buy assets right in that program to quickly flesh stuff out. I don't know if Fandelver is there, but a lot of what people complain about with these systems is the setup. Well, if you buy the module already set up, it just makes it way easier.
All the release content is already been ported over for Unity.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's good. And so one question in chat there, Danny, I don't know if you saw it. Well, what are the player requirements for map tools?
Well, so what I do, I have a really chicken wire and duct tape kind of setup. So what I do is I get everybody in Zoom, and then I participate in that Zoom with a piece of a program called XSplit, and that has my map and map tools and everything in it. So the players don't actually access map tools directly at all. I'm just providing them a view. And my players tend to prefer me to move the tokens and all that, because then they never make an illegal move.
Sure.
Like if I know it's difficult terrain, I move them half the distance. If they ask why, I say, that's difficult terrain. If you let players move their own stuff, they're going to move somewhere, and they're going to be like, oh, now you got to move back, and that messes with your flow. The real trick, though, for me is dice rolling. I trust my players. I told everybody all weekend at Virtual Gary Con, if you have to cheat at a role-playing game, then I consider that therapy that you desperately need. And if you desperately need therapy,
Danny drink.
where you win at a role-playing game, then I'm happy to give you that.
That's really good, Danny. I've had that happen before at con games where people felt the need to cheat. And so then I would cheat right in front of everyone else to hit that same player.
Yes.
And then later I took a photo of our group and I tagged that player as Cheaty McCheaty Pants.
Yeah. See,
Cheaty Pants. Someone, please write that down. That's a card. It's a card.
I'm at a point in my life where I feel that the shaming of people is already handled by Facebook, so that I don't really have to make people feel bad about themselves. They probably already do. But I just let people do that. I have a second camera that I actually put on my dice because I like to roll mine out in the open anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
It just there's part of me. There are secret rolls, of course, but part of me just feels like if the players see me rolling all those shitty 1s and 2s, then when I do bring the hammer down with a series of 20s and 19s, they got shit to say.
They see me rolling.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the therapy bit of it. I mean, I personally, I rather enjoy it when my character fucks up.
Me too.
Opportunity for role playing.
Right, there's opportunity for role playing. It's opportunity to kind of bring a little levity to the game. Sometimes, I mean, there are moments where you're like, oh, I really need to make this roll, but if I'm just making a social skills check to try and, I don't know, seduce the whatever in the end, it's fun if I fail.
Right. It's called role playing, right? We're not playing crit harder.
That's what I.
Well, but do you feel maybe, just as a side note, do you feel maybe there's certain systems that it's a little more forgivable in, and certain systems where it's not?
For sure.
Like, what's a system where it's not forgivable to trust, or maybe you shouldn't be trusting your players because there maybe is a little bit more of a go for win?
I would almost say anything that's organized society is play to win. It's not play to role play to gain experience and have fun. And I know I'm probably going to irk some people, but
paranoia, somebody said.
If you're playing at a house game and the whole goal is to have fun and there's no like objective, there's no, I have to finish this in 2 hours, defeat the creature to get my XP, to get my levels and my gold so I can buy the next magic item for the next session. It's not like that, right? So.
Right. And I think there's certain systems like Numenera, Call of Cthulhu, where it's so heavily weighted to the role-playing stuff.
That's good.
Whereas sometimes I think like Pathfinder's pretty crunchy. There's other crunchier games where people are like, hey man, you shouldn't be taking a +2 if you don't have it.
Oh, yeah.
I play a lot of Savage Worlds lately, and that's great too, because even if you totally bork your roll, you've got bennies you can spend. So when you really, really want to succeed, you have that opportunity. You can turn fate around.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, somebody was saying if in Zoom,
We got a
drinks
toast
all around.
to Monkey
Who are we
Moto.
toasting? Monkey Moto, here's to you, buddy.
Thank you for the
Cheers.
drink.
Where was I? If a player, so sometimes they do like the idea of the digital roles and everybody seeing them. So White Tonka was saying with Zoom, if my players need a digital dice roller, I use roll dice with friends.
I'm going to put up
It works works nice and it's easy.
that link we found, that online multiplayer dice roller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just linked it here.
Yeah, God, I cannot remember the website that we
Yeah,
used
that's
10 years ago, a decade ago. There was a dice roller, and it was super. At the time, it was fantastic because it was a web-based. Nice.
Hamet?
That is so.
Hamete?
That is so pretty.
I remember
it
the
was-
one. I was holding that up for Alyssa. I remember, yeah, there was one that actually had pretty good 3D rendered dice.
This wasn't rendered dice. It was all web text-based. And you would input what you wanted to do, and it kept it in a log, so you could go back through the entire campaign and look at the log of dice that everybody rolled, and it enabled us to do offline role playing. So like if one of the players wanted to send the old sticky note, it was the virtual version of a sticky note, like, hey, I want to do this, okay, go roll in the dice roller, and that kept that log for us forever. And I can't remember the name of the site, but that was pretty cool. That's one thing that I kind of miss with Fantasy Grounds. Sometimes Roll20 to a certain degree. Roll20 keeps a pretty good log, but the ability to do stuff offline. So if those campaigns that you have where you're
You got to have a bot, dog.
maybe
Bot for Discord bot. There are plenty of dice rollers there. Yeah, you can throw that.
Discord has several. Yep,
Several
you're
bots.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure I'm not the only one where the campaign continued outside of the normal gameplay. Like when I was a kid, teenager, we were playing all week. Just when we got together, that's when we were like finalizing stuff. It was notes passed in the hallway and all kinds of crap all during the week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did I
surprising dice
knock
roll.
that thought out?
Like, do we all
How do you-
know that Alexa will roll dice for you?
No,
Ooh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So if you go to Alexa and say, Alexa, roll a d20 or roll whatever, she will, and she'll give you the results.
Is that right?
Wow.
That's pretty cool. We're just debating on fans of Roll20 today about the dice roller. Somebody brought it up, and we've got a couple of the Roll20 folks that are employees that are in there, and Stephanie Bryant, who's commenting on Roll20's dice roller and saying that it's actually more random than a real D20, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but but they've got quantum dice or something like that. They've got a live stat block for all the D20s rolled all across Roll20 at any given time. It's pretty fun to watch, actually.
That's cool.
And when
one
I
thing-
say fun, I mean fun in the statistics way.
Oh, so
just-
great fun. Yeah.
I just wish Alexa would stop selling all of my conversations to the NSA, but she won't do that. She won't, even if you say please. I rolled the dice too. You know what really would be great? This is a market opportunity. I'm going to give away a good idea here. Somebody needs to come up with, everybody's making dice towers and dice trays and dice jails. Somebody needs to do a glue together of a tiny, inexpensive camera and a dice tray that works over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something that you can just connect to your computer, doesn't take up a plug, and it shows what you're rolling.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah, that is a real good idea.
$100 price point. You can get them from Matt starting Monday.
So somebody on a Kickstarter had some digital dice that would actually they would do all the calculating for you in case you couldn't add up pips or sides or numbers. But that's a weird leap in technology, I suppose.
Better yet, get Bluetooth dice. So there was a Kickstarter for some Bluetooth dice. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's it, Jimmy. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Celestian brought it up. Sorry, in chat.
Yeah, there is a set of dice that when you roll them, it sends the result to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, in the die, like the chips in the die.
That's correct. That's correct.
Mhm.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And now, if somebody comes and tells you it's $100 for a set of dice, people are just like, no sweat, man. You know, like $100 for a pair of dice. That's shit big people pay these days.
How?
Oh,
I don't
there.
want to. Yeah,
Linked it in
that's a
chat.
great idea.
Let's see. Is that what it is?
God,
Oh
Ice,
my
your
God.
favorite dice games reimagined. All right.
Celestian, you're not stupid. You're just forward thinking.
Yeah, right. No, that's it. I would definitely back that for $100. Hey, gaming and BS is that I think Sean Kelly just logged in for everybody.
What's up, Mr. Kelly?
Gaming and BS podcast. I think it's Sean. I'm not sure. So yeah,
just for fun, does anybody remember the dragon bone?
Yeah.
That it was like a plastic housing that had a slider on it with little lights next to it, and when you would shake it, it would play a sound like rolling dice, and then it would show you the results in the red lights. The Dragon Bone 2 had the sound. The original one didn't.
White. I know what you're talking about.
Hell yes.
with the dragon bone.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you? Jimmy? What's your advice for somebody that's starting on Fantasy Grounds? Where do you look first? Do you have a video series that you should point them to?
Well, there's several.
Because I will admit I do like Fantasy Grounds functionality more than Roll20, but
so do I.
The learning curve for the players is
a couple sessions.
Yep.
Well, if you're my players, see, but we have plenty of automation in place. So
here we go.
Yeah. So, it's just what I do for my players.
Let the shit talking commence.
Yes. No, it won't do that. So I will admit that the Roll20, you get in there. I don't understand it.
Yep.
So, yeah. We got to do this shadows, of the Iranian Roll20, and I'm lost. I want my automation. So,
based
but then
on
I'm getting
how you,
yelled at by the
Point
DM.
out to the audience that even the four of us don't necessarily agree on shit.
No, we don't.
Right?
No, we don't.
That is certainly true.
I feel like that's what makes this entertaining, or has any entertainment value at all. It's that we don't agree on anything.
I think well, Frank House has definitely put together some of the automation, and that's what I do on the Fantasy Ground side for my players. My Friday night group is a brand new set of noobs, and I've automated their character sheet to the tilt. I've got a Sunday group now. It looks like it's going to be the British are invading the channel. It's going to be Britons that are playing on a Sunday game, and I will automate their character sheets. And several players that have been on my understand that the automation is there, then it makes it a little bit easier. But yes, there is. They're looking at this character sheet and they're like going, holy hell, what the hell am I supposed to do with all these buttons and links? But for learning it, it is videos out the kazoo. That I know Digital DM Dave has got plenty of older tutorials out there on the classic. The Unity stuff now is still, some of it's still coming out on the Fantasy Grounds channel, but then you've got Fantasy Grounds College that is out there running classes daily. They have got a whole Discord server out there that you can hop into and pick up a game, pick up a tutorial, and they've got multiple videos that they're running on small little snippets of each part of the Unity interface to learn it and how to automate the maps and line of sight and all the fun stuff that Fantasy Grounds now is, bringing to the table. So, but as the DM side, I think it's up to the DM to get and understand the automation a little bit better and use it to its fullest. Once you get that, understand just a little bit of the tweaking of the character sheets, the world is your oyster. So,
hey, I think that's probably the best, and that's how I learned to do anything in Fantasy Grounds at all was going through a bunch of YouTube videos. We should probably do that ourselves, just to say we have our own. We can point to our own stuff, but yeah, there's no easy way to just pick it up and go, and I think that's one of my two complaints about Fantasy Grounds. The other one being that the person running it is the one hosting it versus Roll20, which is hosted on their servers. That's got both good and bad aspects to it. I mean, we saw over the weekend that when Roll20 was really getting hammered, there were some problems getting connected. So there's good and bads for both. But I think the same is true for Roll20 if you really want to dig into it. What I like about Roll20 is that you can log in, and the interface from a player's perspective is fairly straightforward. Like it's a chat window like most people on the planet are used to using. Rolling can be automated. It can be in the character sheet, but you can also just go right into the text window and type it, which I know you can do in Fantasy Grounds as well. But it's fairly straightforward right out of the gate. Easy for somebody to pick up, and they can just listen and watch the map, watch the GM, DM use the map tools right there in front of them. So,
and I think obviously, right, Roll20 came along after Fantasy Grounds. They're the second entrant into that market is to learn lessons from number one. You know.
Yeah.
Well, the web interface is going to be, there are some limitations there because of what you can automate.
Absolutely.
But you still have the tabs, and you've got this interface that is people are in a browser format, and they easier for them to learn and look at. But to sit there, the Fantasy Grounds interface is an application. It's got more horsepower behind it, and you just got to learn to tame the horses. Some people are like, oh, it's overwhelming. No, it's really not. You just got to, you've got to look at it from a different angle. And once you get into it and kick the tires, boom. Either platform, I'm not trying to bash either one of them, because you pick one, run it. Because Matt and I have had this conversation several times, and he's got so much invested in Roll20, it makes no sense for him to come over to Fantasy Grounds, and he's not gonna. He knows it well.
Yeah, and this really, to jump back a little on track, I think this gets back to our earlier statements about, like, what is it that you're trying to do? For me, ubiquity is really important. I want everybody to be able to use it easily. So when people come at me with their Ferrari Testarossa talk about, well, there's this better thing, it's like, that's great, but is it as easy? And they look at me like, well, what does that matter? Don't you want the best thing? Well, I want the best thing for me and my players, yeah. But the best thing may not be, the best thing. I've been looking as well at Astral. That's another tool that's out there right now.
Astral
and Foundry. This Foundry, man,
are also tools that I don't
it.
have a ton of experience with, but I'd certainly give them a try. And it's calling upon GMs, honestly. I think the big wake-up call is for GMs to get out of the mindset of the 1980s, because we're still doing mostly our stuff like they did it back in the day. And this is the first, honestly, I think it's the first big revolution-sized seismic change in this industry in quite a long time in terms of how it gets done.
And the competition is only good for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
I don't know if everybody noticed, but not too long ago, I saw a post that D&D Beyond is introducing their own dice roller.
They do.
Okay.
Yep.
On its own, that is not a very big announcement. Most of us are like, yeah, okay, cool, I guess, right? But to me, what that signals is they're eventually going to be launching their own online play, right? They're going to have their own platform. It's going to try and draw market share from the other big, companies that are doing the VTT. It's not far off, I bet. Now,
yeah, and we talked about that. It's been months ago now with World Anvil, and they've got their Project Dios that they're working with Dungeon Fog, and it's pretty easy. Jimmy and I have talked to them quite a bit via Zoom actually, and they haven't admitted it, but it's fairly easy to connect those dots. Like, oh yeah, they're also going for that virtual tabletop platform. Just a handful of steps away from making it another competitor out there.
Yeah. And sadly, what this is going to mean for some people, and if we're talking too much biz here, please let us know in chat. But this is kind of our biz, so it's where we're gonna, we find a little joy talking about it. Sadly, most of these will fail.
Biz.
And people will invest in them, and they will be left without ways to port their assets out of the API and so on and so forth.
Yeah, God.
So from the standpoint of taking care of your customers, if you want to have another bite of this apple ever, think seriously about how people will get their stuff in and out of your system. The mentality of trapping people's data in your system is total bullshit.
Everyone drink.
No one should put up with it.
Everyone drink. Alyssa says we must drink. So
Did I miss a card? I didn't see no card.
I do.
Alyssa said drink. Damn it.
Sure
Alyssa, all you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask.
That's it. So I think Alyssa's on something there. Why don't we do a giveaway for 5 packs? Do a giveaway for 5 packs real quick.
I can. Yeah. One moment.
So we'll do a giveaway for 5 packs of cards. You can make Danny drink more. you do have to have a Streamloots account, which is you can just log in with your Twitch account. It's no big deal.
I'm already drinking more. Do you want more on top of more? What is the ultimate plan here?
Cry me a river.
So here's another thought too. What happens when there's too many good platforms and you want to run X, but your players are only connected to Y, and suddenly we can't get people to easily hop into the platforms, right? I think that's going to be a breakdown. And I think costs are going to have to go down for some of these. Like D&D Beyond already is very, very expensive. And I suspect that anything that they do is going to continue to be very, very expensive because it's connected to Wizards of the Coast. So, I mean, were it me, I would make it very low cost and grab the entire market as opposed to, making it expensive and trying to get high return on investment. So we'll see.
Well, we've talked about it a million times. Nobody's cracked the player pays to play nut yet, but that will have to happen because putting all this shit on GMs, that ain't gonna fly.
All right, folks, the giveaway started. No, you just buy one ticket, Jeffrey. You don't need any more. So just do exclamation ticket, and everybody gets a free ticket. And
1, not 10. 1.
Just exclamation ticket. That should
I like how
enter
Jimmy
you.
pretends. I like how Jimmy pretends he doesn't want these people to buy more tickets to make me drink.
There you go.
No, that's
You're a real role player there, Jim.
Hey, watch it, folks. I'm gonna show you the pictures that I have that I put over their faces when they're not here, and this is what happens when they're in timeout. And
Whoa, what?
I actually need to get Danny's done. I had Danny's picture. We had clip from his.
Finally,
Zoom.
a break.
That is a real good point. And the game, we've got one game, obviously not one game, but I mean one very popular game that has this peanut butter spread of applications that you can use to play it online, specifically online we're talking about. But you're absolutely right. I mean, how impactful is it when D&D Beyond is so expensive to get all that stuff virtual on, I don't know, like Total Party Kill Games when you're trying to sell books, PDFs. I mean, it does have an impact when people only have so much money that they're willing to spend on virtual content.
Yeah, that's right.
And we as publishers have to decide, hey, who do we want to support? We're already having to determine what publisher or what system we're going to do products for. But then when the market is changing and you've got 4 or 5 different major VTT companies, I mean, there's only so much time in a day, right?
It is not easy to get a game in Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or Astral Tabletop. They have these platforms where you are certainly able to get your content up there, but
as a regular user, I would agree with that. I gotta give a big shout out to the boys at Fantasy Grounds because they do me a sweetheart deal. They do all the conversion work and just send me a check, and that makes it really, really nice. Roll20, that has been a nightmare, right?
Has been a nightmare. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Across platforms, across multiple platforms, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? You have to make an effort to get those in each one of those different platforms. And now we've got Astral Tabletop, we've got World Anvil coming up. World Anvil has, again, not a virtual tabletop platform yet, but they have the ability to put your content up there as well and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
Which is fine, but now you've got these stovepipe processes that, just like Jimmy or just like Danny was saying, that the data is not portable. It's not. You can't take that inherently. You can't take that from World Anvil and put it into Fantasy Grounds and run it.
Right.
Nope.
It's the hostage method. All of these things could be run on XML, and then you could just pull the tables and go where you wanted. And then the company would be required to come up with ways of making you happy. But unfortunately, what they do is not. I mean, they're not incentivized to do that. They may do it as a result of good people working there. And I would say that all the people that work at those places, their hearts are in the right place. We're not bashing. But but they are part of a system that has a quarterly report.
Mm-hmm.
At least at Hasbro, they do.
Mark's got a good point. He says that DMs, GMs have always handled the bulk of cost for running games, which I think is true. That absolutely has been true. I mean, back even in the 80s and 90s when we were running games, the DM was, if you wanted to run an adventure, he went out and bought it.
Yep.
And it makes me laugh a little bit because you see so many people. I run fans of Roll20 and Roll20 LFG on Facebook, and you see so many people bashing game masters who come up and say, hey, this is a pay-to-play game. It's $5 or $10 a session or whatever it is. We play every other week. I mean, it's $10 or $20 out of your pocket. And people just drill on those guys, drill them into the ground because they're like, D&D is not supposed to be a pay-to-play game. Well, that guy has put a ton of effort in.
For sure.
I mean, he has virtualized this game, probably scanned all the maps or went and found maps or whatever he did. He's done all the stuff required to get this into Fantasy Grounds or Roll20. And he's just asking for a little compensation to pay him back for what he or she has already put into it.
Okay, just
Blows
the
my mind.
amount of time value is one thing.
Yeah.
It's art. It really is. If you want a good game master who's entertaining, who's fun, who tells a great story, right? This is an art form. And so again, to not pay for art, I find to be a little bit shameful. I don't think anyone is asking exorbitant amounts of money to do so. I maybe know a couple of people that have overcharged, but for the most part, it's very reasonable. And if your game master is the one that has to pay for all the books for your enjoyment, Jesus, help him out. Buy pizza, right. Something. Toss a $5 every once in a while to help buy some maps.
I think I do it. Well, sorry, Dan, because I'm answering that to Brian. I think I look at that because we're chatting to James was talking about, we bought the books, we bought the PDFs that can be done, and then yes, I bought all the content inside Fantasy Grounds, not only the release content but a ton of third party, and so. But I bought the Ultimate license, so my players can all get it for free. And so I'm asking those to come to the channel to subscribe and support, and that offset my cost. So I agree with what you're saying, and I see that's what I'm doing instead of running in a real life game. Maybe it's a little bit, it could be different there. But on the streaming side, support the channel, support us, support Predators Rejects, support Nightheart Gaming, Wicked Studios. I'm seeing tons out there. Lord Gasumba, support the channels, and we give you better programming. Please.
Yeah, and it obviously all of this applies to any artistic endeavor.
That Aussie gamer, yes.
The musicians go out, learn how to play their instrument, write songs, show up at the bar, and you can't bother to sit through their first song because you don't know if you really like it. Right. Well, get the fuck out of here then, like I don't need people like that in my life.
Sorry, I saw Beth's post. I'm sorry, Beth. That's bad.
Also, Wicked Studios is toss a coin to your DM. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Bravo.
And there's Dead Aussie Gamer. We met him at Gen Con. Matt, Dead Aussie, is friends with Guy. And Janet and all them, and he runs the Pathfinder. He's down under, and he's running some games down there for kids and doing some stuff. But then also he's got his nice little channel, and so please check him out. Nice gentleman.
We have a winner for the cards. Who won the cards?
Okay, we'll stop right here. Let me stop the giveaway. Anybody else in chat, real quick? Here's the
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Enter just exclamation ticket. You get one ticket. We're going to give away 3 packs of our card system that we're using now on the channel for our other shows, and our upcoming game where you can affect the game and could kill Brian or Matt. And give me a boons. I want boons. So, all right, here we go.
It is awesome. We actually have permission from Rob Schwalb, who developed Shadow of the Demon Lord, to use all the art. Any of the art that we want to from that game in our cards that you can use to play or to influence the game as we're going along. So that'll be a pretty sweet deck once we get it finished.
Here we go. All right, our winner is
who got the 3 packs?
Turtle Dove 1309. So Turtle, you need to go to Streamloots and just link your Twitch account to them, please. And once I see that, I'm going to gift you, or Matt, or if you're doing it, one of us is doing it.
An entire pack of Make Danny Drink cards.
Yeah.
What?
So I talked to Streamloots about giving individual cards,
Yes,
like
he
specific
did.
cards, so I could do that very thing, but they don't have that feature yet.
Yeah.
That's an
What's up? What's up?
What's that?
We need that sound. We need that audio. I'll find it. Turtle Dove, just PM us in chat here when you got that link to Twitch real quick, and then I'll gift you the cards, please.
Yeah, James, I mean, each of us, I think we've all met.
Danny, have a drink.
Some of us.
Thanks.
Some of us.
Thanks, Jeff, for that.
Some of us are closer to him than others, but yeah, we reached out to him, and he was more than happy to do that. This is I wouldn't go so far as to say a sponsored game, but yeah, he's happy to see this going down.
Tim Lins, welcome to the channel. We've been talking for an hour, so we'll still chat a little bit more, and then we've got our last call with Brian Berg, where he gets up on a soapbox and bitches about something.
Next Wednesday, 9:00. Next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Time, is our first Shadow of the Arena game, which is a game run by 3-time Iron GM Eric Frankhouse, where the 4 of us will be run through the gladiatorial gauntlet in a Blood and Sand style Shadow of the Demon Lord game. So please tune in next Wednesday for that awesome event. What else we got? We ready to go? Last call.
Well, what other cards can folks get? Like, how can they interact with the channel? What kind of good stuff do we got going on, Jimmy?
Besides making Danny drink?
Make a Danny drink. So we'll have, like I said, all the Shadow of the Demon Lord cards, and there will be different. There'll be 3 different cards, or how many cards inside that? Because there'll be times that you can only play certain ones.
Yeah, there's 4 types. Yeah, there's 4 types of cards. So there's social interactions. This is for the Shadow of the Demon Lord game next week specifically. Social interactions, combat interactions. You can give us weapons. So we're not going to be walking around not going to be walking around the arena armed. And then the thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh, and then generic. So I guess, yeah, there's 4 types. There's generic cards with just basic art. King Bashman got the Mimic card. Just now played it.
Turtle Dove, you have your chest.
There's a bunch of generic cards in there that have Shadow of the Demon Lord art. Yep.
And then we have Wizards of the Couch, the drinking ones that you see, and just silly generic gifts and memes and stuff like that. What else? Danny, you shake your head like you're taking a drink as a hardship. It is.
Yeah.
He's thirsty, folks. He's
I
parched.
think the new guy automatically gets that effect.
It's fucking Monday, Bruce.
Tim Lins, you have to buy loot cards. We have a card system that is invoked on this channel and on Predators Rejects, and it's going to have game interaction cards. We'll do some other new well, what's on what do you have for like Who's Monsters anyway and Strange and Encounters? Any cards?
Yeah, sure. So Who's Monsters anyway is on Thursday at no cussing for 5 minutes. Oh God.
Ooh.
All right, folks, no cussing for 5 minutes. All right.
Who played that?
That's a rough one. I
Some
think that's
jerko.
Jeffrey,
Some
damn it.
jerko with his jerk face.
I'll drink.
I can't believe some would say that.
Who's Monsters Then Anyway is on Friday night, or I'm sorry, Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central.
Countered the last card, so no, we can cuss now.
There we go.
F you, Cersei.
Thanks, James Lewis. That was awesome.
You know what? I'll drink for
I'm
that.
4 years old.
Anyway, the cards that are in there, you can suggest a resistance, or you can give the creature that we're building an armor class bonus. No cussing for 5 minutes again. What are
He's
you,
got
hoarding those
100
things?
cards, folks. He bought
Mr.
bazillion packs.
Mr. Nanny Head. All right.
Free the
beat
potty
this down.
mouth.
That is a real poop face move.
Free the potty mouth.
Oh my.
Hey, so that Stream Elements in chat reminded me we have the Mug Club now. If you are interested in joining the Mug Club,
It's a gosh darn good thing.
Thanks, James.
$60 for 1 year, and you get all of our publications plus this awesome mug.
We're supposed to have that mug, but we haven't seen it yet.
Hey, it's decontaminated from China.
He's got his, but we don't have ours.
He's decontaminating it by
Matt comes
pouring liquor
first.
into it.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, if you're interested, Mug Club, Wizards Mug Club. It was Beth Damas's idea. Wizards Mug Club. You can join with that link, WizCoGames/Mug Club.
So Turtle Dove.
You get all.
Whoa.
You get all of our publications, everything we put out for 1 year, plus this awesome mug, and you can toast to us at the any of the conventions we go to.
There's a lot of PR merch. Yes, I know, Jeffrey. I got to buy it all. Okay. I was sick this last week. You know, I got the gear, the virtual. This is probably the first time you will have heard of virtual con crud, and I got it. I got it, man. It wiped me out for a week. I don't know.
It's a cybernetic disease.
You guys like my
Stream Loots, Turtle Dove.
You thought.
Stream Loots, and then upper right hand corner, you should see something that will show you a little icon saying you've got some new cards. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, I'm helping the viewers.
No, that's fine. I'm just. This is my Rick Hershey background. This is one of the kobolds that would have been at KoboldCon this year.
KoboldCon.
Big shouts out to Rick.
Just wanted to give a shout out to Rick Hershey and his awesome art. All right, and we beat this horse dead enough.
Yeah, we beat it.
Dead?
We're being silly now. Zarvon, right. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you, everybody who showed up.
Sleep.
You guys want to stick around for 5 minutes or so, and we'll be back with some last call, where Brian Berg stands on a soapbox and yells at a cloud.
So,
Cloud.
We'll be right back, folks. Get a bio break, get a drink. We'll see you shortly.